There is a stretch of the Uwharrie National Forest where the creeks run so clear you can see the black stones at the bottom. Locals have long called one particular branch Dead Man's Run, though you'll never find that name on an official map. Some say the name disappeared years ago. Others say it was never supposed to be written down in the first place. Whatever the truth is, people who camp near those waters don't usually ask questions twice. 2 summers ago, a woman named Lizzie pitched her tent on a flat ridge overlooking the creek. It was a warm southern night. The air smelled of pine and damp earth, and the only sound was the steady rush of water flowing over smooth stones. Around midnight, Lizzie sat beside her campfire, watching the glowing embers fade. The woods had gone strangely quiet. No wind, no insects, no birds. Then, beneath the sound of the rushing water, she heard it. Clink. A sharp metallic sound, like a small brass bell. Clink, clink. Frowning, Lizzie grabbed her flashlight and walked to the edge of the ridge. She shone the beam down toward the creek. The water shimmered. The rocks glistened. Nothing. She figured it was probably an old bell caught somewhere in the current and went back to her tent. A few hours later, she woke with a start. Her fire had gone completely cold. The night felt unnaturally still, and the sound had returned. Only now, it was much closer. Clink, clink. It wasn't drifting through the creek anymore. It was coming from the shallow water directly below her campsite. Lizzie slowly unzipped her tent and stepped outside, her flashlight trembling in her hand. She crept to the edge of the ridge and swept the light across the creek. The beam stopped on a large, flat boulder in the middle of the water. Resting on top of it was a small, rusted brass bell. It wasn't moving by itself. Standing knee-deep beside the boulder was a figure. Its back faced Lizzie. Dark, soaking wet clothes clung tightly to its painfully thin body. One pale, waterlogged hand gripped the bell. The hand lifted it, then let it fall against the stone. Clink. It lifted it again. Clink. Lizzie froze. "Hello?" she called, her voice barely steady. "Do you need help?" The figure stopped. Its arm slowly dropped to its side. Then, nothing. It didn't move. It didn't breathe. It simply stood there in the freezing water, as though it had been waiting for someone to notice it. Then came a single step. Splash. Another. Splash. It wasn't running. It was slowly walking toward the bank. Lizzie raised her flashlight higher. The figure finally turned. As the light reached its face, her stomach dropped. There were no eyes, no nose, no mouth. Only smooth, gray, waterlogged flesh stretched across its head, as though it had spent centuries beneath the river. Lizzie gasped and dropped the flashlight. It rolled across the ground, throwing long, shaking shadows through the trees. The footsteps stopped. Everything went silent. Then, clink, clink, clink! The bell erupted into frantic ringing. A violent splash exploded from the creek. Something charged up the muddy bank toward her campsite. Lizzie didn't grab her backpack. She didn't grab her shoes. She ran. Branches tore at her arms. Briars caught her clothes. She didn't stop until she burst onto the main road just as the first light of morning broke through the trees. She survived. But she never went back for her tent. And to this day, she avoids running water whenever she can. Because sometimes, when she's washing her hands late at night, she hears a faint metallic ring coming from somewhere deep inside the drain. Clink.